Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So last time we were discussing isms, and we were on the property of an ism, the first property of an ism, which is the status. So we go to the next chapter, which is finding the status of the ism. There's two markers to indicate the status of an ism. So one is called the ending sound, which where you look at the harakat on the last letter of the word, and the ending combination is when you look at the letters that are added to the word in order to determine its status. So both of these markers, they change depending on the gender, so whether it's male or female, or whether the number or the number, and the number can be single, it can be dual, which is 2, or plural, which is more than 2. But we need to know, unlike English, in Arabic there are separate words for dual and plural. So plural in Arabic is 3 and more, and dual is obviously 2, and singular is 1. So the charts that we're going to be looking at in order to understand how to identify the status of an ism is the Mu'minuna chart. So here, if we actually look at the singular version of Mu'minuna, which is Mu'minun, that anything that's added to the word itself at the end is extra, and it helps to identify the status. So if we look at the masculine chart first, so we have, if we start on the rows on the right side, so we have the status, which is Rafa, Nasab and Jar, and then you have singular, dual and plural. So if we look at singular and Rafa, it's Mu'minun. So meaning the Rafa has 2 dhammas on the noon, the last letter, which is Dhammatain. And then if we look at the Nasab of the singular, it's Mu'minan. So it has a Fatatain on the last letter. And in the jar status, and singular form is mu'minin, so the last letter, the noon, has a kasratain. And so if it has a dhamma, it's rafa. If it's fatah, then it's nasab. If it's kasra, then it's jar, which is straightforward. But with the dual, in the rafa, if we look at the word is mu'minani, and for the nasab it's mu'minaini, but also for the jar in the dual is mu'minaini. So meaning it's the same, it looks the same in nasab and jar. And the way we differentiate whether something is nasab or jar, because they both look the same in the dual and in the plural. If you see the blue highlighted in the table, they all look the same. Meaning the 2 dual ones look the same and the 2 plural ones look the same as each other for nasab and jar. The way we differentiate is something that we'll discuss later. So if we just look at the plural, the rafa for plural is mu'minuna, and the nasab will be mu'minina, and the jar again will be mu'minina. So it looks the same. So if we go to the feminine chart, again the singular, to convert the masculine to the feminine, all we do is add a ta mabuta at the end. So you can see, if you look at the singular rafa version where it says mu'minatun, the word mu'minu is still there. The only thing that's been added is the ta mabuta, and so which makes it feminine. So if you look at the singular rafa, it's mu'minatun. Again, the dhamma gives it rafa status. And the singular nasab is mu'minatan. Again, you got the fatatain, that's why it's nasab. And then the singular jar is mu'minatin, so it's kasratain, that's why it's jar. And then the dual for the rafa is mu'minatani. The nasab and the jar is the same for the dual, is mu'minataini. And for the plural, the rafa is mu'minatun. So you can see the actual, the ta mabuta has become a ta, which we'll discuss later. And the plural nasab and jar is the same as mu'minatin. So if we just take a deeper look, so we get a better understanding. So for the singular masculine, So if we look at the singular rafa, we can see we've highlighted the blue highlight. So that shows that when it's dhamma, it's rafa. So that's why it's nun at the end. And then when it's nasab, so it's nan at the end. So it's mu'minan. When it's fatatain, then it's nasab. And then the last one is mu'minin. So when you see the kasratain, so it's nin, then it's jar status. This is called a status marker. This is the status marker, the different harakat on the last letter. And when you see this is called an ending sound. So this is the ending sound. So when you see the different harakat on the last letter of the word. So the singular feminine, like I said before, we've just added a ta marbuta on the word mu'minun. But also if you look at the blue highlighted in this table, you'll notice that normally it's mu'minun, mu'minan and mu'minin. But in each case, the nun only has a fatha. In each case, and that's the blue highlighted. And the only thing that changes in each case in the rafa, nasab and jar is actually the harakat on the ta marbuta. And so for the rafa, the singular is mu'minatun, so it's a dammatain that gives a rafa. And for the nasab is mu'minatan, the fatatain, meaning the two fatas. And then the jar is mu'minatin, which is the kasratain, which you can see in the purple highlight. And again, because the status marker is connected to the harakat on the last letter on the ta marbuta, then this is called an ending sound. But whereas if we look at the dual, always remember that the base, so the base is the original word. So in this case, the original word is mu'minun. That's the original word, and that's what we call the base. But anything after that, anything that's added to that is part of the part of the status marker. So if you look at this table, you can actually see that the base is still there. The mu'minan is actually still there. The only difference is if you look at the blue highlight, then the last noon letter has a fatha on it in each case. But the actual, the meme, the va, the meme and the noon that makes up the word mu'minun is still there. The base is still there. Only the last letter noon has a fatha in each case, which is shown in the blue highlight in the table. And so if we look at the purple highlight, this is how you work out what the status is. So in the dual masculine rafa is mu'minani, and you'll notice that the purple highlighted is actually highlighting the alif that's extra and the noon at the end that's extra. So there's two things that have been added to this word, the alif and the noon. And in the nasab status, you can see is mu'minaini, and the purple highlighted shows you that it's the ya that's been added and the noon at the end. So the ya and the noon. And again with the jar it's the same thing, mu'minaini, and the ya and the noon has been added. Now in this case it's not called an ending sound, because the ending sound is when the harakat at the end changes, and from that you identify what the status is. But in this case extra letters has been added to the base, to the original word, and the extra letters in rafa is the alif and the noon, and the extra letter in the nasab is the ya and the noon, which is highlighted in purple. And in the case of the jar, again it's the ya and the noon. Because extra letters has been added, it's called an ending combination. And again, if we switch to the dual feminine this time, the base again is mu'minatun, because like I said, when we want to make something feminine, we add the ta marbuta at the end. And so the original base is mu'minatun. That will always stay there and it will always be present. But in some cases, or in this case, the ta marbuta might change into a normal ta. So if we look at the dual and the rafa is mu'minatani, and you notice actually that in the blue highlight, the base, the mu'minatun is still there, but the ta mabuta has changed into a normal ta, first thing. And the second thing is that in each case it has a fatha, and that's the blue highlight that you can see. And so if you start with the dual rafa is mu'minatani, and if you look at the purple highlight this time, then we notice that the alif and the noon has been added to this word for the rafa status. And if we look at the nasab, that is mu'minataini, then again the ya and the noon has been added, which is purple highlight. And then the jar is the same thing, mu'minataini, the ya and the noon has been added. Now because in the purple highlight the extra letters have been added at the end of the word, then this is what we call an ending combination. And so if we go to the plural masculine, so again the base is mu'minun. This is the original that's always there. Anything beyond that is part of the status marker. So again you'll notice if we look at the blue highlight within the table, the original mu'minun is still there. But in the case, if you look at the blue highlight, specifically the blue highlight, then the noon in the rafa has a dhamma, and then it has a kasra in the nasab and the jar. But then if we look at the purple highlight now, so we'll see the plural rafa is mu'minuna. And the purple highlight shows what extra letters have been added to the base, which is the wa and the noon. And in the nasab, it's mu'minina, so the ya and the noon has been added. And in the jar it's the same thing, mu'minina, the ya and the noon has been added. So again, the same thing, because extra letters have been added to the word, then because it's extra letters, then we call this an ending combination. And then the last one is the plural feminine. So again, the base, what we started with originally is mu'minatun, the base will always be there. Anything beyond that is part of the status marker. But you notice that in the blue highlight within this table, that the noon will take a fatha in each case. And the ta mabuta has been changed to a normal ta as well, from the original mu'minatun. So if we look at the plural, rafa is mu'minatun. And if we look at the purple highlight this time, we can see that the extra letters that have been added is the alif and the ta. And then you have the nasab status, which is mu'minatin. Again, the alif and the ta has been added. And in the jar is the same thing, mu'minatin, the alif and the ta has been added. So again, because extra letters have been added to the original base, the original word, therefore it's an ending combination. So the thing we'll notice is that when we talk about singular, then it's ending sound, because only the harakat. So if we go back up, you notice that in the singular, which is here, singular masculine, singular feminine, the harakat is what changes in each case. At the end of the last letter, the harakat, and that's why it's called ending sound. But in the case of dual and plural, for both masculine and feminine, extra letters are added, therefore it's an ending combination. And we added a note that the plural is the same for nasab and jar status, which we did discuss, and differentiating between the two will be discussed later. But just a quick tip is that whenever we try to determine the status of an ism, look for an ending combination before looking for an ending sound. Now the next, after this, we have a bunch of questions. So meaning we have a bunch of isms in this table here, and we want you to determine whether the ism is rafa, nasab and or jar, whether it's masculine or feminine, whether it's single, dual or plural. And so you can fill in the table and the answers are right below, so you can check if you're right or wrong. And at the end of this chapter, like always, we urge you to have a look at the vocabulary list chapter at the end of this book, and it should be reviewed regularly. Ideally at the end of every session this curriculum is studied, so you become familiar with the vocab as well as time goes on, inshallah.